Okay, so are we ready? So far, what we have discussed is about empowerment. We were presented facts and some of the researches and some concepts on peace and security and among other things. So now we will go to the evidence-based practices for crime prevention. Um, as researcher, as a teacher also, what we need to see are evidence-based practices and not just ideas or propositions coming from the floor, but something that have worked for other places. Maybe these countries are almost, or do they have the same characteristics as ours, or people may have the same characteristics as ours, but it's worth noting and worth checking almost everything. Again, once more, I know that you know all of this, but we just have to put things into perspective. So we shall proceed after looking at the root causes of the problem that we are facing in our quest for peace and security. Let us try to look at evidence-based practices for crime prevention. So when we look at this practices, we usually think that it involves strategies and interventions that have been rigorously evaluated and proven effective through research. Yan. So, tingnan natin siya. If you would look at these 7 items here, I know most of them, or if not all of them, are familiar to you. Yung CB, Cognitive Behavior Programs. We also have substance abuse treatment. Kasi nga nakita natin yung connection kanina, 'di ba? And then we have restorative justice, offender re-entry programs, lalo na dun sa mga sirs natin and moms here na naka-assign sa BJMP, risk and needs assessment, community policing, and education and skills development. So, ilalagay lang natin into perspective or kung saan natin pwedeng alamin ang mga bagay-bagay o saan natin pwedeng i-insert. Now, when we look at the CB or cognitive behavioral programs, ang concept natin here is we have to change the offender's thinking patterns and behaviors to reduce their criminal behavior. So these programs typically focus on addressing criminogenic risk factors such as yung mga antisocial attitudes, impulsivity, pro-criminal peers. Delikado pala to, no? Parang tell me who your friends are and I will tell you who you are. So they may also include cognitive restructuring, yung social skills training, anger management, at saka mga problem solving techniques. So this has proven to have worked, no? Cognitive behavioral programs. Another, of course, is the CBT. May cognitive behavioral therapy tayo as an example kasi these programs target offenders with substance abuse issues. So may combination siya ng behavioral therapies and then motivational interviewing, contingency management, and yung mga appropriate na mga medical interventions natin. So treating substance abuse can help reduce the likelihood of relapse into the criminal behavior. Ayan, so it worked, no, for countries. Another is restorative justice. I am not sure kasi if this works with other institutions or other units. But basically, of course, sa BJMP na konsepto, isa din to. Pwede rin naman sa iba, but we're looking at the practices that has focused on repairing the harm caused by the offense and promoting offender accountability. So these practices involve victim offender mediation, community conferencing, and restitution. So by involving your victims, offenders, and communities, restorative justice seeks to address the underlying causes of crime, promote healing, and reduce recidivism. Next, ito yung re-entry programs natin. Kasi parang nakafocus itong idea na ito dun sa crime mismo na napapasok sa ating sa police institutions. Offender re-entry programs assist individuals transitioning from incarceration back to the community. So these programs will provide comprehensive support, including employment, assistance, housing support, education, housing support, sorry, housing support, education and vocational training, substance abuse treatment, and mental health service. Mahalagang mahalaga talaga yan. So, yung effective na re-entry programs aim to reduce the likelihood of reoffending by addressing the challenges faced by ex-offenders during their reintegration. Ito mahalaga rin yung risk and needs assessment. Risk and needs assessment tools will help identify the offender's level of risk for reoffending and the specific criminogenic needs that should be addressed. So, familiar po tayo dito, di ba, mga sirs and ma'ams? If you have comments and remarks, you can just write it on our messaging board or chat box on the side. So, evidence-based risk assessment instruments such as yung level of service, case management inventory, or the violence risk appraisal guide, it can inform the design of targeted interventions tailored to the offender's risk level and needs. So ito, parang napag-usapan natin to when we talk about the determinants or correlates, community policing. This strategy will involve building collaborative relationships between the law enforcement agencies and the community. So ang focus niya is on the proactive problem-solving community engagement and partnerships to address the local crime issues. So yung effective na community policing natin, it can lead to improved trust, increased community safety, and thereby reduction of the crime. And kung napansin niyo and if you remember, yung skills and education, isa sa mga problema natin kanina. So, when we try to provide educational opportunities, and skills development programs to offenders, it can contribute to their successful reintegration and reduce recidivism. So these programs may include adult basic education, vocational training, job placement assistance, and life skills training. If mai-enhance natin yung education at saka skills, it will improve the individual's employability and increase their chances of leading a productive, law-abiding life. Yan. So please note lang na ano siya, very specific siya sa police, ano natin, environment, sa PNP for example, but there are others, no, there are other concerns, other areas, other coverage, and other things that we have to look into. And please note, however, that the implementation of the evidence-based practices will require careful adherence to fidelity, proper training, and ongoing evaluation to ensure effectiveness. Tailoring interventions to individual needs, addressing cultural considerations, and maintaining a strengths-based approach are essential elements for successful crime prevention. Now, let us look let us look for research findings. So, there are three major topics here that I am presenting right now, as you can see. Now you will have to choose. You can have, 'di ba, may mga groupings. If you have groupings already, you can just choose one of these three. So pwede din mag-duplicate ito kung marami kayong groups. Okay? Or if you are six groups, then two groups will be working on one. Mamaya tignan natin kung paano, or you just can message in our messaging board chat box kung anong napili ninyo at ano ang aaralin ninyo. Once again, hindi ito agad-agad. I will not be giving you just 1 hour to do this. Not like the typical thing that I do with other subjects and other group of students. But this one, I will be giving you 1 week to do it. But you give yourself 3 days to do it para ma-process ninyo at ma-polish ninyo after 3 days. So after 1 week, mabibigay sa akin ng maayos na. Now, I have specific items there, but you can, pwede kayong magdagdag ng mga sub-items sa bawat isa na yan at aralin nyo. So, this would just look like a term paper. So, hindi naman siya masyadong mahaba. Sobrang haba na ang 15 pages, including ang mga references. Pwede ngang 10 pages lang, pwede ngang 5 pages kung sa palagay ninyo is enough na. Then, you can also make a PowerPoint presentation as an added requirement and an infograph para ma-share natin or ma-share ninyo sa inyong mga kaklase afterwards bukod sa isa-submit ninyo siya sa akin for grading. So, one of the topics that you can look into is the international cooperation and combating transnational crimes. So, we will be looking at diversity, we will be looking at impacts of diversity, we will try to look at diversity recruitment and retention, and addressing biases and promoting inclusivity within the agency. So, tingnan lang natin. Teka lang, baliktad yata. I'm sorry. I have to wait lang ha. I have to revise this for a bit. Parang nagkabaliktad ang aking lagay. Wait for a while. Take a quick break, about 2 to 3 minutes, and I will go back to you. Ayan. I have made some adjustments. Nagkabali-baliktad ang aking mga questions, ang aking pag-arrange ng mga questions sa ating major title. So, ulit ha, we have three major items here and I have put some yung sa mga yung sa mga nag-screen capture at nag-snipping tool, pwede nyo nang i-delete muna yon dahil nagkamali yon. I made some changes here in this page, this specific slide. So we're talking about international cooperation in combating transnational crimes, preparedness and resilience in crisis situations, diversity within law enforcement agencies. So itong mga tatlong items na to are very important items or topics to be discussed and I will be giving you time to do this. Sana magkaroon tayo ng magandang usapin, magandang research, at magandang sagot sa mga possible na tanong. After this, I'm giving you sample questions for you to look into. But these are the subtopics under each item. So for international cooperation and combating transnational crimes, you look at interconnectedness of crimes across border, you look at the overview of organized crime and so on, you look at the role of international cooperation in addressing trans crimes, or the legal frameworks and international agreements. Diba? Interesting. So, sino sa inyo ang mahilig sa mga ganyan? Sa mga law, international or transnational? Yan, this is good for you. So, you can work together. Maximum of, let's say, 1, 2, 3. Siguro mga 5 people in a group para hindi masyadong magulo. Minimum of about 3 para may kausap naman. Wag naman yung ikaw lang mag-isa ang gagawa. Okay. Then another that you can choose is about preparedness and resilience in crisis situations. This is also very important in maintaining peace and security. Excuse me. So, when we're looking at resilience, we also have to look into these four subtopics: understanding natural disasters, pandemics, mga terrorist attacks or other emergencies, importance of preparedness and resilience measures, strategies for emergency planning and response coordination, role of law enforcement agencies in safeguarding publics during the crisis. Interesting, 'di ba? O sige, kung gusto nyo yan, pwede nyo rin yang piliin. Another is diversity within law enforcement agency. So, ito yon yung kanina sinasabi ko, yung gaano ba kahalaga ang diversity in law enforcement? Ano yung impact niya sa community relations? Ano yung, paano yung enhancing diversity on recruitment and retention, plus addressing the biases and promoting inclusivity within agencies. So this is not just the LGBTQ concept, but you can also look at other things. Like, pwede naman ibalik mo lang doon sa original na debate on women in the office. Okay? So these are some of the questions. I have listed some questions that you can use in your research. Pero pwede naman yung dagdagan, pwede yung bawasan, pwede nyo lang gawing inspiration. Like for example, itong tungkol sa interconnectedness, pwede mong gamitin itong mga tanong na ito. Okay? So yan, you can screen cap or snip tool that those questions. Pwede yan, no? Yung how does interconnectedness of crime across border pose challenges for law enforcement agencies in effectively addressing transnational criminal activities. So yan, pwede, at iba pa. Tingnan nyo na lang. Another set of questions that you can use dun sa ating international, pwede nyo itong gamitin. Um, Pwede mo sa transnational crimes, pwede mo magamit yan. Or pwede yung tungkol sa national disaster, natural disasters, pwede rin. Preparedness and resilience, yan. Tingnan natin kung pwede nyo magamit mga possible tanong na yan. Another is, pwede nyo ring tingnan yung emergency planning, natural disasters, pwede rin yung mga tanong tungkol sa diversity. So, pipiliin nyo lang kung ano mga pwede nyong gamitan ng mga tanong. Actually, I just pasted this here for your reference or inspiration. But you can always use other key questions in preparing your term paper or your paper. Group work, group task. Okay, yan. Pwede nyo gamitin yan. For example, what strategies can law enforcement agencies employ to enhance diversity recruitment and retention at iba pa. Yan. Now, this is a very important item at inaral na rin natin ito when we talk about megatrends. No, and I'm sure that you also, I think in some of the other subjects you also have that. But this is worth emphasizing and noting because of what's happening right now. There's the rise of cybercrime and well, we have this challenge of ensuring public safety. Now, I know that you already know about this. I just have to pose to you questions so that you can think about these things or think about the things that you already know. Because if you cannot answer the question, that means you have to review once more and research once more what cybercrime and is all about and how do we use that or think of that or consider that as something that would make us be really, really conscious to ensure public safety. So, ayan, ang first of the five questions na ano yung potential impact sa individual. Paano naging new challenge siya sa digital age? Baka meron mga naka-assign dito sa public information or other things. Yan, ito mahalaga for us. Ano yung mga rule ng international collaborations natin and partnership? Ano yung mga trends and techniques nila? Kailangan mauna tayo, kailangan malaman natin. How can law enforcement agency adapt the strategies and all? So these are the first five possible questions for that. Another set is ito. We're talking about the challenges. We're talking about public awareness campaigns. Anong measures ng individuals, ano ginagawa nila? Ano yung another version of the question about collaboration, another question on legislative frameworks, a question on how law enforcement balance the need for security and public safety without compromising privacy rights and civil liberties. So isang haba-habang usapin. So yan, another ang dali lang ha, tignan natin. Yes, I think naulit ko na yung ibang mga questions dito, but you can yeah, the last, you can disregard this last portion here. Nalagay ko na siya sa original, naulit ko lang siya. Okay, now this is a time for us to reflect on these things. Paano ba nagsimula ang mga ito? So it's easy to really look into that. Gaano siya kahalaga sa atin? Bakit tayo na dumating dyan? How far are we right now? And how can we address the challenges that is being posed by this new technologies and new updates, and still going back to our original goal of peace and security? So if there are items that boggles you, if there are things that confuses you, okay, I'll be posting on the messenger messaging wall natin dyan, yan sa isang portion dyan ng ating chat box, ang aking email address where you can send questions or updates on how are you doing as you go through or as you do your paper. So, ano yung mga Uh, requirements natin, this is equivalent to about 40% of your grade. One is a major paper with regards to the topic that you have chosen, as I have given in the selection. And another is a presentation. You can use Canva, PowerPoint, or whatever it is that you're using to present whatever items that you have research on, and make sure that it can be attached to the email, and an infograph that can be shared to the rest of the class. So it will also be your responsibility to make sure that you disseminate the information that you have gathered, and make sure that the information is valid, correct, true, factual, at iba pa. So this is how we will be looking into. I'm sending the rubrics later if we still have enough time, but now is the time for us to reflect, and the time for us to really look back to our role, no, as public safety officers, or to our role as a part of this very big system, complex network of system in our country, excuse me, in the world, no, yung universe natin. So, pagmumuni-munihan natin ang mga bagay na ito, aaralan natin. I hope walang info overload na nangyari ngayon, mga kaganapan, but you will have a very major task. And I will also be, well, expecting that you will be able to answer um, at least three questions about cybersecurity. No, so yan ang ating mga expectation before we finalize your grade for these subjects on people empowerment and on peace and security. So, kung ayan o, let us be reminded that true empowerment comes when individuals and communities are equipped with the knowledge, resources, and opportunities to create a safe and secure environment for themselves and others. So, with that, I would like to take the opportunity to thank you for your service to the Filipino people, for your service to our country. Please know that you are appreciated, and we are really always praying for you and your safety too, because you take care of people, and so you have to take care of yourself somehow. So kapag wala na tayong other concerns and other questions, pwede naman tayo na rin na makapag-rest ng konti, and then we just resume our studying afterwards. Okay, so thank you very much. This has been a wonderful afternoon with you all. Daghang salamat!